There is, in the modern age, a new problem to which we were not previously pressed with. And that is the problem of technology. Now, first, it may seem absurd to you that I'm considering this a problem, when technology seems to be a rather profitable endeavor. But the reason for such classification is rather clear. Technology contradicts nature. Technology is a purposeful activity produced with intention for a specific end. Whereas nature is blind, purposeless, designless, and merely factual. Technology fundamentally runs against nature. It seeks to take hold of nature, transform nature to its desired end, to perform its desired end. And it does so through a terrific struggle against nature. So we have technology versus nature. And the reason for that contrast is because technology seems to be technology is deliberate, whereas nature is random. And the deliberate and the random do not seem to be able to coexist. Randomness is a mutually exclusive concept from design. The two are simply cannot simultaneously exist. The universe cannot be both natural and purposeful. And so technology at its core goes against the essence of the world. And it attempts to introduce and establish a new world, the world of technology, and a world based on purpose and design and intentional thought. This problem is very noticeable in politics. A few hundred years ago, Adam Smith famously illustrated his argument that the world needs no outside kind of third party to regulate the world. We don't need to invent some kind of socialist movement in order socialist government that would regulate the economy. It's all unnecessary. Nature has it all worked out already, and it does so through supply and demand, and so on and so forth, as he explained there. But the problem with his thesis is that all works when we actually live naturally, and we live based on this natural world. But in today's world, in the modern world, with technology, we are not doing so. We continuously shape the world. And if we shape the world, then we can't just stop there. We have to look at the effect of what we're doing. And what we're doing is changing the world we're living in, and thereby making it incomparable to Adam Smith's world, in which things just work out. When you're building your own world, you have to work out all those problems to the end. And so it's absolutely necessary that you introduce a third government to regulate, a third party, which is the government, to regulate the economy and so on and so forth. Because the economy is being not based on nature. And if you do base it on nature, then we have this contradiction between randomness and deliberateness, and it does not work out unless we accept either one or the other, and not both at the same time. So we can live, perhaps in Adam Smith's time, and still have somewhat of a natural life where technology didn't so radically yet transform our lives in any noticeable way. It made it easier in certain areas, of course. There were many technologies around in Adam Smith's time, and that a very large amount of technology was around then. But yet, it doesn't seem right to say that technology has, at that point, changed the natural world. They were eating natural foods, whereas in today's world, everything seems to be artificial. I mean, in every area, in those times, it was fundamentally more nature-based and natural. And so Adam Smith had his philosophy and it worked then, in some sense, or may have worked then. Maybe if I was alive then, I'd be arguing on it. I don't know. But I do know that today, when we have to change the world and we aren't living naturally, then we cannot then throw up our hands and say, well, nature will take care of it. Because nature will not take care of it because we aren't living the way nature has designed us to live. And so we must face the consequences of living the way we are living and live up to it and plan a way. And every step of the way must be deliberately planned. This is absolutely critical. And so basically I'm saying like this. The world today has two choices. Either it can ditch the entire technological endeavor, which is quite a horrifying prospect, that this should be necessary, and it surely should. I hope that it doesn't come to this, which is a possibility, a very frightening possibility of this kind of dystopian future. The other possibility would be, and the brighter possibility, and the possibility we should try to achieve, is that we should continue with our new kind of life, which is creating our own world of technology, but we should actually create the world. We should actually accept that it's necessary now that we are changing the world to make the world from scratch and to make sure everything works out on our own, and then actually do so and make this world actually work, make the economy work, make a system of healthcare that works, make a system of education that works, make a system of health that works. In every area we need a system. In every area of science we need a system. In every area in practical things we need a system. And so this is absolutely critical. One example of this where this particularly stands out is in the lower class. I mean, we have come to a situation today where the lower class don't seem really able to find jobs. And more as we go on in time, more lower class jobs are predicted to go out of business as they're taken over by machinery and computers, or computer-like, robotic stuff, are doing the more simple work that is generally done by people with either lower IQ or lower education and so on. And so if these people don't have jobs, we know that these people are the ones that are most likely to become common criminals. And if they go out of jobs, as seems to be happening, and they're left with nothing but this temptation to be a criminal and to earn a living that way, obviously this is where they're going to end up going. And this is a big problem. So the only way to solve, and this is an example of a problem that comes about because we have changed the natural order. Okay, so there is a natural reason, and that reason works for thousands of years, why it is and how it is that people with a lower IQ could live. There's a reason evolution let them live. But we just changed the world. We just changed the game entirely. And in this game, lower IQ people don't necessarily stand a chance. And that's a problem. That's a real problem that we, as people that care about our brothers and sisters with lower IQs, we gotta do something about this. And we made this problem, and we gotta deal with it. And we gotta put up some kind of the way we're gonna do it, but it's gonna have to involve some kind of system, some kind of rather socialist-like system, which would ensure that everybody would be contributing to the system, as well as receiving the benefits that our technology has granted us, the benefits of knowledge, health, and security, and so much more. Entertainment, I mean, imagination, everything which is in there, in the technology that the world has today and continues to bring. So, that is that about socialism. Another area where this is noticeable is in terms of the nuclear power that now threatens us. We have invented nuclear power, and so there is no natural order which will stop us from destroying the world. We need regulation to combat that and to help create and preserve this new world that we have brought upon ourselves. The power that we have today is simply astounding. It's something that would be impossible to imagine, and then unless we were actually in it. I mean, to think about the power at our fingertips, at every person's fingertips, to gain access, the access to knowledge, to vast amounts of credible knowledge available to each and every person in such a simple and clear manner. I mean, it's godlike. It's something that is terribly, terribly powerful. And it can be tremendously beneficial, and it has been tremendously beneficial, but it can also be destructive, and we have to be careful because we haven't invented this power without any God directing us. We cannot rely on Him because He hasn't helped us. We've created this problem, and we got to fix it. Now, there is a big problem, having mentioned God, that has to do with God, and that is that too many people believe in Him. And that brings tremendously bad results, because, see, if you believe in God, then you don't see a contradiction between nature and technology. The contradiction that we were discussing, you simply do not see. You don't recognize that, and the reason for that is because to you, nature is not random. To you, nature is also purposeful, albeit from not designed by you, but from third agent, God. But nature is fundamentally similar to technology in that it is too purposeful. It is also purposeful and designed. In fact, for us, the theist believes, and so nature and technology fundamentally congratulate each other and do not in any way contradict each other. So this viewpoint, which is in fact not true, it is in fact false. Nature and technology do often contradict each other. It's not true that we can live in the natural world where there are people like the people that live in Iran, and we can invent a nuclear bomb and say, okay, God made the world, and this all fits in, that we then went on to make the nuclear bomb, and so it will all be all right. It won't be that way. The nuclear power is something fundamentally new, fundamentally not programmed into nature in any way that it should be there. And the natural world is, on the other hand, there. The Iranians are there, and they will act naturally unless we do something about it. Okay, we've corrupted nature, and now we've got to face up to that. That is the fundamental message that I wish to go over to you tonight. Despite all the ways to the contrary. Thank you very much. Questions, please. There is, in the modern age, a new problem to which we were not previously pressed with. And that is the problem of technology. Now, first it may seem absurd to you that I'm considering this a problem. And technology